Well, hello, everybody. I have back with me again Leslie Dernberger with
Very good.
Aspire Educational Consultants.
Consultant.
And she is coming at just the right time. You will not want to miss this interview because as kids, we start to focus on August and kids going back to school or not, or going to a hybrid system. We need to hear from an expert about how you can help navigate this brand new system. And Leslie is an expert. She doesn't advocate for one system over another system. She advocates for the best system for the child and the parent. And that's what's so important about this interview, is because she's going to give you a choice of options, things to think about, how to approach this entire new system that we're forced with. And Leslie, I'm going to start with a little bit of commentary though. I mean, I'm a parent still. I still have a child in high school. My other four are out. I did private school for K through 8th grade. I did public school for high school. My kids came out of public high school very well. But my daughter, I think online e-learning in last spring was a complete failure for her. And I don't think it's like that for other kids either. Everything from no standard at all to the only thing that you could do nothing and still keep the same grade you went into starting in March, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the shutting down of sports, even through the summer, we just got started back with cross-country practice with her just 2 weeks ago. This is ridiculous. It's outside activity. There's no reason that it couldn't start on time in June. I mean, I think it's been a failure. I think that they're buying in to things that aren't wrong. And I'll tell you what, experts back me up on this. You can listen to studies that have come out of the EU where a number of countries have decided to keep school open. You can look at a study in Australia the same way.
Yep.
I mean, this information available to anybody on the internet if they choose to look it up. It's certainly available to our superintendents and our State Board of Education. So the fact that they're ignoring the fact that kids are not super spreaders, that kids, even if they were to get this, are typically asymptomatic, and that kids, even if they were to have a bad case of this, there have been very, very few deaths. And we are upset about any death that were to occur. But there's only been 4 in the entire state of Illinois under the age of 19. And 2 of those had other issues associated with them. So, I mean, do you keep the rest of the student population in abeyance of their, nearly 2 million students? While they figure this out, or do you help them along, because there are other things associated that are bad outcomes for kids if they are separated from school for this long? Not only the dearth in learning, the lack of social interaction has created, increased drug issues, increased suicides. All of that has been well documented. And so that is part of my problem here. Yeah. Our school system that I'm part of right here in Wheaton, they've decided to go to, for the high school level, 2 days in, 3 days out. I honestly, and actually one of those days is considered a cleaning day. I'm a little frustrated myself here, not to mention we pay a lot in property taxes to keep these up. And there's a financial consideration here as well, because I know I'm probably going to have to pick up an additional tutor for my daughter under this situation.
Right. Yeah, Jeannie, you just really kind of summarized all of the different issues that so many families, so many parents right now are struggling with themselves, and really trying to weigh that. Like you said, well, maybe there is someone who's immunocompromised, so that you really shouldn't or can't send your child back to school. But then there are so many parents, right, who understand that impact that you're talking about, the emotional need and the emotional ramifications, right, of not having the interactions and so on and so forth. But I do want to encourage, there are options, right? And a lot of families right now, because honestly, because of the back and forth as well, like you said, okay, well, what are they going to do? 1 week they're saying they're going to be all e-learning. Now they're saying they're going to be 2 days a week. Now it's, in our district here up in the 6th, but in 211, it's, a week in the high school and a week out, the green and gold groups, whatever it is, everything keeps shifting, right? And so we're hearing from so many families, right? What do I do? What are my options? What can I do out there? I'm not a homeschooler. Or maybe, like we talked about in the other interview, maybe it's just, okay, can I just sit this year out? Is there something I can do to kind of just let things settle and see where things end up? right? And so that's why, you know, I've been doing, as a matter of fact, right now this week, I'm running another version of what I'm calling a Discovery Year Boot Camp, where I'm just giving a process to families, no matter what you want to do. You can come in and join us. It's totally free. I'm trying to give as much information and get out there to help these families make a decision and a choice based on what's right for their child, right? And based on what's good for their family. And if that is going back into the schools, like for instance, if there's so many families who are like, look, I'm okay with it. I'm good with my kid going back. And no, I don't want my child wearing a mask, because what good is that going to do? Because my third grader isn't going to keep it on their face anyway. But we all, you know, we hear from both sides, right? So this is a really, really tough issue for families. And what I want to encourage also, though, is that if these families are making that choice to homeschool and want to pull their kids, Jeanne, one of the things that I am really, really frustrated by, and I want to make sure the information is correct out there, that if families are wanting to homeschool, even if it's just for this year, they're being told things that are incorrect about the law right now in Illinois.
Well, set us straight, Leslie. Set us straight on that.
Okay, I'm happy to do that, because here in Illinois, we have a wonderful situation where we don't have this incredible amount of government involvement. How often can we say that about our state right now, Jeanne? I'm sorry,
no,
I just can't.
No, we are. We're one of the top states for homeschoolers. Very light regulation on us. Pretty much you're treated as a private school, and the state stays out of it. And we've been able to protect that at the state level for decades now, which is really a testament to the state legislature.
It is. It's a testament to the state legislature, and also really the body of homeschoolers here in Illinois, because people don't realize how large a community it is. And I do want to encourage that, because it was something for me. I felt all alone. I felt like, oh my gosh, you know, what is this, when I decided to homeschool. But there is a wealth of knowledge out there and a great network. And as far as the laws go, one of the things I want to start by saying is, as Jeanne said, we are considered a private school in Illinois, and that has been determined by the Supreme Court of Illinois. So if you are going to homeschool, one of the first things and main things I want to share with anybody who's watching this is that you are under zero obligation to register with the state. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you not to register. So many school districts or principals or superintendents are saying, okay, here, fill out this form to register with the state, or even stronger, you must. It's absolutely not true. The only thing I would encourage people to do, simply because number one, it's a matter of courtesy to the school itself, but also just to make sure that there's a checkbox that your student is not returning, is what I would say is, if your student has been in a public school and you would like to withdraw them for this year because you would like to homeschool, which is a private school, all you have to do is send a letter. And I would encourage you, have it in writing, do not email, do not just do it verbally, but in writing, just for your records and for their records, that you put in writing, I am withdrawing my student name from this school name, and in order to send them to private school. Done, period. That's it. That is all. And the only reason you should do that, it's not even a requirement. It's not a law that you have to do it. But the main reason is you don't want the school thinking you're going to be there, then your student's not there, and then they're thinking you're truant. You're not, because you're in private school. You are homeschooling. So do not register with the state. Do not fill out those forms that register. You do not have to register. There is zero requirement of that. And like I said, the only thing you have to do, it's 2 lines. And there is a great example on a website. It's Illinois House, HOUSE.org. It is a homeschool organization, a statewide organization, and there's great information. They give you examples on there as well. Or on a national level, there is something called the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, HSLDA. .org, and you can go on there and search and look up whatever law, like Illinois law, if you're comfortable with that. But they're a more national organization.
Okay, so what if you want to, I mean, what if you're kind of forced into e-learning and sometimes in class, you have a hybrid approach? I mean, if I had my druthers,
Right.
I would actually maybe homeschool my daughter on civics, AP Gov,
Yep.
we already had,
Yeah.
English, things like that,
Yeah.
PE. And I would basically say, but I want your math and science in person. And you can do that in
Great.
the state of Illinois. Actually,
You can.
school, or you can pick and
Yep.
choose which classes you want your child to attend
Yep.
in person at the public school and which ones you're going to provide for them at home. And
You
that
absolutely can.
allows that child still, they're counted on the school's records. They're
Yes.
counted in the student population for state support, which is why people want their kids in the public school. But actually, but it also gives the student the opportunity to participate in extracurriculars. I know my daughter, Mrs. Show Choir, she wants to participate in track and cross country. So what is your suggestion there? Because I don't think that if you sign up for the hybrid, you don't get to pick and choose the classes.
No. So Jeannie, you're hitting on a really important distinction here too. When we're talking about homeschooling or part-time schooling, yes, that is absolutely something that can be done and is done in Illinois. However, the way it's structured, when we're talking high school, especially for what you're describing, like for your daughter or high schoolers, you're in a little bit of a different situation. It is district by district and sometimes even school by school on how they're going to handle that situation. And this is where it can get very tricky in terms of working with the school. So for instance, a high school can absolutely say, okay, we will work with you. We think that's totally fine. We know that your daughter is up to speed. And if she wants to do part-time of these classes and part-time of this classes, no problem. And most schools will probably do that. However, here's the catch. But you're not going to get a diploma from us unless we're only going to include on her transcript the classes she's taken at our school. And they can do that. And they can say that. So there are a lot of considerations to go into. And right now, that is a district by district situation. And I'm hoping as a result of this, it will create the districts to take a harder look at their high school policies. Because I know, especially when it comes to extracurriculars, when my kids were participating, the IHSA decided to rewrite their rules, their homeschool rules. Oh, just for my kids. It was so lovely. And basically said, okay, no problem. They can participate. Because remember, we're a private school. So that's okay. And that's how they do for all private schools. However, if they want to, if they're recruited, for instance, or people come to us, the only transcript we'll give them is any class, or if they don't want to take the class here, they have to take the final of a class they didn't attend. Keep that in mind. So let's say they took geometry like mine did from a college professor, right? Got their grade, legit grade, as people like to say, right? I'm not teaching them, wasn't a mommy grade, because that's not my cup of tea. Right. But like you, civics, government, you betcha. Okay, so here's the thing. Now they're saying, oh no, I'm sorry. Even though we've approved that curriculum so that they can participate in high school sports, your student still has to come in and take our final that hopefully will be equivalent to the final you've already taken with this other class. So literally that was what they said. So you got to be really, when it comes to this hybrid situation, you've got two things you're looking at. You're either looking at the homeschool situation where you want to school on certain subjects, but truly right now what you're finding is the high schools are saying, here's the hybrid approach. You're still taking all of your classes with us, but some will be in person and some will be e-learning. So when we use that word, it can be very, we need to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. So are you in the public school system 100%? And hybrid, right, which is what their hybrid is, where you're part online and part in school, or hybrid homeschooling, essentially, where you're doing some classes with the public school system and some classes without. And that is a case-by-case basis. And I encourage you, that's where you need to be working with the school itself. And I would hope that they'd be more accommodating with everything that's going on right now and the situation that's going on. But again, that's a case-by-case basis.
Well, I certainly hope that they would be, because they're run
Yeah.
by liberals, and liberals like choices, except when it comes to this.
Right.
I'm going to just be honest with you, so a District 200, I got that one off. I mean, they spend over $13,000 per kid to educate. That's about the state average. They actually do a great job for the state average. I give them a lot of credit. While school district spends about $20,000 per kid. That's a lot of money. And then to not get the full complement of in-person teaching that you expect to get, it's really asking parents quite a lot, because I am telling you right now, the tutors around here are going to make bank under this situation, as they should, because these kids actually do need some real instruction one-on-one, whether it's over Zoom or you can meet with an instructor now with a mask, no problem.
Yeah.
That's the initial phase 2 stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're not being honest about about how this is really going to affect families and children, and they're looking out more for themselves than they are anybody.
It really is a situation where I'm finding too in my field and working with people and helping families put together an educational plan that will work for their families. Because then, Jeannie, you've also got, right, I love how you're championing, I'm not even getting this word right, being a champion for all of the small businesses, right, that have been hit so hard for this, with this whole COVID situation and the economic struggles, right? So now you've got families too who have working parents. That is actually something that we really specialize in, is helping those families put together a plan and mentor, like the students, like you were talking about, finding correct tutors for them, because that's a struggle in and of itself. A lot of these families, right, have 2 working parents, and it's very difficult.
Well, and elementary school is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Middle school, same thing. Middle school's going half and half, in person and e-learning. Well, I'm sorry, middle schoolers cannot be left alone all day while the parents work. What are you thinking? I mean, this doesn't work for families. Not to say that schools are supposed to be daycare for families,
right.
But in reality, that's what they are. A lot of parents say, look, I'm going to stay home with my child until they're in school, and then we can weather the very expensive daycare costs and all that. And look, I'm not advocating that the government pay for daycare. Don't get me wrong here.
Right.
We are $26 trillion in debt at the national level. The state is bankrupt, and we do provide it for those who are the most needy. By the way, we spend over $500 million on that line item, between what really is preschool and daycare combination.
Right.
So, we're spending a lot of money on that anyway. We can't afford to do more. But so what do? You're leaving middle class families defend for themselves. But let's get back to the topic at hand a little bit more, because I just went on my little rant there. But I wanted to, so you've been talking to more parents about options for them. What is probably the most predominant option that you're giving folks? What are most people selecting after you've sat down with them? What approach are they going to take this fall?
Right. Well, a lot of times when families are coming to me or scheduling a call or attending my boot camp, what we're finding is a lot of families are seriously considering the homeschooling option. And here's one of the reasons why, Jeannie, and we talked about this in the first time you and I talked, and that is about consistency and routine. Because one of the things that I think any good parent realizes, right, is this up and down and the turmoil that's going on is really, really creating more stress, right, than if, okay, we're going to be in school, or okay, we're going to be all e-learning. This whole we don't know, or we're going to be in school for a few days, and not even that situation where they're going to be there 2 days and not 2 days. That is really throwing a lot of families and a lot of parents. So really, it's by the time they come to me or they're asking me, they really do have in their mind, they want to do some form, right, of homeschooling or some form of hybrid. And here's the thing, you know, a lot of them, like you, okay, the school works well for my kids, awesome. So what we're trying to do is to help them say, okay, so if you want things to settle out, then here's a way, and I'll share that right now with anybody who's watching. You can go to your school, right? Still do this withdrawal letter that we talked about and homeschool, but you can work with your school on, say, what's the curriculum that's going to be used this year? I want my child to track, to stay in line, so that next year when we put them back in school, they will have that consistency, they will have that regularity, and they will be along with their peers, you know. So there are a lot of families that are worried about that and want to make sure that their kids stay on track. So that is one strategy that I've recommended to many people, which is great. If what you want to do is to put them back next year, then you contact the school, find out what they're going to be doing. You can even get, a lot of the schools are more than willing to give you, okay, the syllabus or kind of the lesson plan, in a way, like, here's what you're doing, you're tracking each week, right? And then helping to build that out. A lot of families are saying, even ones who are both working, are saying, okay, hey, let's think outside the box. And this is something we encourage families to do right now, right? Maybe Saturday and Sunday become 2 school days. So 2 of the school days during the week that both parents can't really be overseeing them, hey, there's a grandparent that's watching them. They're getting amazing extracurriculars as their weekend, right? And so we encourage everybody, think outside the box in terms of your school week and when your kids are being educated and how they're being educated. One of our current clients, it's amazing, their family member has a farm and said, you know what, send your children to me for 2 days. Well, guess what? Okay, there's 2 days that those parents can just work without interruption. And then the weekend then can become schooling. And having said that, Jeannie, I really also want to impress upon anybody who's watching this. One of the things that I think people forget is that when you're in school, a lot of the time that's being spent is not educating your child. Right. So we have this idea, right, that, okay, they're in school for 8 hours a day, but they're learning, especially when they're younger, the actual time spent on academics increases, obviously, every year. But like in kindergarten, it's maybe 40 minutes a day. That's it, right? Then they can be playing. You could have a nanny in, and your child will be more than fine. They will be great, like, if you want to take that option. So for working families with younger students, just know, oh my goodness, you could do that after work with them. Just sit down with them and do whatever curriculum that you want to do. So that's one of the other options that we're really encouraging families. High school students, right? Then the numbers increase. So at high school level, you're thinking actual in-class time and actual in-class learning, right? You're actually looking more at like 3 hours, 3.5 hours of actual learning.
Let's pause there for a minute, because I'm at the point where, you know what, why don't we just do the core requirements, and you don't have a study hall, you don't have a lunch break, you don't have a gym. Sorry, gym teachers, we will go to the gym. Most of these guys are in athletics anyway, at least my kids are. Sorry, art teachers, I love art, love it.
Yep.
Love music. But it is COVID-19 crisis, and we have to adjust. So we're going to have our kids in every single day, just in the mornings, and you're going to get your math, your science, your reading, your whatever, right?
Yep, your core subjects that you would need to qualify for IHSA.
And then I am more than willing to drop her off for show choir practice later on. I don't care where it is. Happy to do that. I want her to be happy because she loves it. But, you know, she doesn't need to be in choir to participate in that. She doesn't need to be in gym when she's in cross country. Why can't we think out of the box more than just, and they're not willing to do it. That's what I find very frustrating about this, is that people are going to you with like, what are my options? Because none of this is really working. And the schools are not actually paring it down, especially in high school, to, okay, we're getting all of your critical classes in the morning. That's it. We'll treat you like college kids, but I think it should be 3 days a week at a minimum, not 2 days. And you're going to get your core stuff in, work at home, come back in. We're going to get your core stuff in again. I think it was slopped together.
Yeah, it is. And I will tell you, it was a pretty much a failure across the board. There's no other way to say it. I mean, that's what every parent is noticing, just like you did with the e-learning. Well, and to be fair, you know, yeah, we were thrown into it and there was zero preparation on their part. They just were not prepared, like we talked about the other time we chatted.
Which, by the way, they should have been prepared, because 6 years ago, there was a virtual school a charter school that wanted to start up, and the entire Fox Valley region shut it down. Brought in people from out of state to protest it, to testify against it, shut it down. And also in that same, when they were getting, pounded for it, they said, well, we're going to start our own. They did nothing to start their own virtual charter school, nothing at all, or virtual learning, nothing. They're caught flat-footed on this stuff, and now we were just thrown into it. Well, you knew that this was, there's all sorts of kids, whether you're a specialized athlete, whether you're a child actor, whether you just don't quite fit in with that school system, but your mom can't homeschool, your parents don't want to homeschool. There are all sorts of other reasons to start a virtual charter school, and they know it, and they failed. And so one thing that hopefully will come out that's really good from this is that they will get their act together for the future.
Yes. And Jeannie, you hit it right on the head. And
I know. Look, I'm going to be honest. I know. I sat down there for 6 years while the public sector teacher unions ran Springfield. And have bled the taxpayers dry. Oh, by the way, even as I like my teachers, even as I like my coaches, I'm telling you, the unions have opposed every option for school choice situations, even under a public setting, even in a public setting, they have opposed parents having more control over the schools. That's just the truth.
It is. And I will tell you, I've been watching this, having been an online educator for so many years. I've been watching this. I've been watching California develop their system. I've been watching Florida develop their system and tweak it. I mean, you name it, right? And there's models out there. If you just want to focus on the public school model and what's working and what's not. And it really is. We are way behind when it comes to that. And maybe this will like jumpstart some people down in Springfield to really figure this out. And like you said, if you're going to say no to a virtual school, charter school that wants to start, and you want to do your own, great, then do it. Right? Because now what's left, like we were just talking about, is the e-learning itself is not working, because e-learning should not be sitting in a chair. So here's the difference. You know, my kids took a ton of online classes in high school, but guess what? It's a college model, which, by the way, meant my kids, as they've all transitioned to college, have had zero issues, none. As a matter of fact, it blows my homeschool kids away when they've gone to college and are like, okay, Mom, I'm helping this valedictorian who's in the honors college with me, has no clue how to budget his time, is totally drowning, because they had to figure it out in high school while they were at home because they had a college model. So Jeannie, I'm all with you. I could get so excited here because if we would think out of the box, we have so many opportunities, both here in Illinois and federally. You know, when at the federal level, it is the NEA and the lock it's really damaging our children. And when it comes down to it, what I love about this is finally parents, and this is where I was going with what I was saying earlier, I think parents are finally waking up to this, the amount of time that's actually spent learning. And Jeannie, isn't that what this is all about? Is what will help your child learn, and not just learn, but actually love to learn, right? And public school is just simply a mode of transportation, so to speak. Well, it's just one thing.
I have friends who are moving their children out of state because they want a normalized educational environment for their younger children. And they go to private school right now in the state of Illinois, but they are moving them to a different setting. And we have one of the star athletes for football, a big, huge football recruit. They moved to Florida so he could play. Because it's really important to his football future to do so.
Oh, I'm worried for him, actually. I was just talking with somebody in Florida.
Well,
We'll see what happens there.
You know,
But see, everything's so up in the air. You know, that's something else I work with too. And I work with high school athletes, you know, and a current client even too, in a variety of different sports. And the NCAA, right? Everything is so fluid right now. Everything is so fluid. Look at all the decisions and choices that are being made. So you have to be able, as a parent, like that, you have to be able to shift and adjust, right, for your child. And I think a lot of parents are realizing now, hold the phone. Okay, I want my child to learn. How much time is really spent on learning? What's really, you know, let's take a look at this whole big picture, right? Like you just said, show choir, athletics, a lot of the extracurriculars are so important. But guess what? Our students would also have so much more time for those. They would actually get sleep, which is foundational to any kind of performance. You want to talk about learning or performing in any way, shape, or form. If we could think out of the box, like you just said, okay, so what's wrong with going to a more of a collegiate model, right? Now, I do understand, you know, again, I know that it's tough when you've got two working parents, but here's the thing I do want to impress upon everybody as well. I can't tell you, and I've worked with literally thousands of teens over the years in a variety of capacities, every imaginable. We sell our kids short. I get so tired of hearing over and over and over again that they're not capable, right, of either doing stuff on their own. You know what? They're not motivated to. Why should they be? Because it's not their learning. They're being told, this is what you do, this is where you go, this is what you have to do. If we can shift that, and I don't mean you have to leave the public school to do this, but if we could empower them that this is your education now, it doesn't become your education when you go to college. We should be empowering our students now. We should be empowering our students at elementary school. Every client I work with, from kindergarten, preschool on up, my goal is developing those life skills, those critical thinking skills, and having them take ownership of their own education. You know what? They love it. They love it. You will see kids being like, oh no, okay, I'm done with this work. All right, I have to get this done. I have to do this because guess what? I've got show choir. Okay, instead, our students are like, their time is completely planned out, 1000%. So instead, they're stressed all the time. They're thinking, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to do this and I have this homework. No offense, half of it's busy work. Okay, can we just get rid of the busy work? Half the time it's not checked or graded anyway. I know here, all of my students over the years, I have all these honor students coming to me going, Mama D, I gotta tell you, it's kind of frustrating for me. I'll say, hey, how's it going? How are your classes going? Well, they're going great. I'm getting a good grade, but I never get any feedback on my homework because these teachers are so completely busy and over the top, right? Nothing's returned. And I don't mean this to be a commentary or a slam at all. There are phenomenal teachers who are so talented. Let them do what they do best. Let them actually reach our children and teach. So now I'm on my soapbox, sorry, but it really matters. It matters.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, look, I will tell you this. I think more people are going to need your services, quite frankly, to help weather through this because parents weren't expecting this. It's come up. But so give us just the lowdown here. If they would like to contact you, just tell us what services you provide for them and how would they reach you? And are you already full?
What's
the first step that they should do?
Well, thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I do want to share with everyone that I am doing what I'm calling a boot camp this week. And it's totally free. You can also join a Facebook community that I've created called the Discovery Year Community, where in there, I'm trying to provide an environment, and all of this, the boot camp and that is totally free, where I'm trying to give you my expertise and give you a bunch of my time to help you plan out and walk through the steps, the process that will help you, and a similar process I use with my clients. We are a premium service where if you are in a situation where you would like for me to come alongside you, so I offer a couple of different plans where I literally walk you through. You have unlimited access to me for 3 months, and in that 3 months, we build out a plan for however many children you choose. We build out the entire year plan, but even more than that, I use an organizational tool where I'm training not just the parents, it's actually the kids. And like I said, everything from kindergarten on up, this is something they can use. And we work with the families, whatever they're doing. I have a current client who's going to travel school, right? So unit studies is what we'll build out for them. And so that is more the service that I provide. And because it is, you know, premium service, and I want to make sure that all my families are really dialed in with me, it is more limited basis. I'm not completely full yet, but we are getting there. You can also, I'm more than happy to see if it's a fit. You can just go to my website, aspireeducation.us. You plug that in, aspireeducationaltogether.us, and you'll see on there a button where you can just schedule a call with me. You can do a Zoom call or this, and I try to give you 45 minutes of my time. I'm happy to share what I can with you to try to help you in your personal situation. But then, yeah, you can also hire me hourly. So let's say you've got a situation where you are struggling with one particular subject, or you want to hire me to build out a class or to round out your education, or just consult with me a little bit. You can also hire me hourly as well, and I will do that.
Okay, great. And
Yeah.
you can build programs that
Yes.
are legit. I mean,
Yes. Completely geared towards that student.
If they take a pause for this year, they're going to be ready to go back the next year.
Yep.
The curriculum that you are presenting
Everything
as an option to use is really decent curriculum that will guide the student along.
Completely. Right. We make sure that it's geared towards your goals, your family's values, learning styles. I build out an entire learning profile for each child so that you can take this with you, and it's valuable no matter what you choose to do in the future. And I work with the students and the parents. I mentor them. And like I said, for 3 months, you have unlimited access. And then depending on which of the plans, you also have some additional time. I also have a wonderful network of tutors and specialists that I will bring in based upon your needs and what you would like to do, and just all over the country, actually. So we just bring that in and make sure that it's right for your child and your family, whatever that might be.
Terrific. So we're going to get this interview up right away today. If people want to participate in your boot camp, which is probably the first step.
Yes.
And one more time, where do they go to sign up for boot camp?
Yes. To go to sign up for boot camp, you want to go to aspireeducation.us. The same thing. Go to our resources. At the bottom of the page, you'll see resources, and you'll see 4-day boot camp. Actually, this one is boot camp 2.0. And you could just sign up there. That is the very first step. Or if you just have personal questions, you can schedule a call with me on the website as well. And join the Discovery Year Facebook community.
Thank you so much.
Great first steps. Yeah, you're welcome.
Great information from you, Leslie. I really appreciate you coming back on and updating us, because folks are now looking, July's ending.
Yep.
School's upon us, and people are wondering, what am I going to do this year? So
yeah,
appreciate your expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure as always.